Hello there and welcome to Brands Hatch for the annual visit of the 750 Motor Club to the Indy Circuit here in Kent. Well, we've already had 2 race meetings this season for the 750 Motor Club at Donington Park and Alton, and we've already had racing this weekend as well for low-cost sport specials, the Super Cooper Cup and the new for 2016 Tikiwa M3 Cup as well. But coming up in today's show we'll have the Tikiwa Civic Cup as well as Classic Stock Hatch, 750 Formula, MR2s, Formula V, RGB and bike sports, but we're going to start the programme with round 3 of the 5 Club Racing MX5 Cup, and Matt Suckling has caught up with one of the drivers.
Adam Bessel, you are the leader of the championship, coming here to Brands Hatch in the 5 Club MX5 Championship. Good round at Alton Park?
Yeah, really good round. Got really lucky towards the end of the race. Front 3 had a massive crash, managed to kind of just miss them, so it was a right result really.
Here at Brands Hatch, a little bit different, tight and twisty, but some good racing on the cards.
Yeah, really good. I mean, the top 3, we're within like 0.4 of a second, I think, so it's quite quick. Carrying 30 kilos of lead today, so it's not really helping in a straight line, but did alright qualifying, so.
So it's Bessel that leads the championship coming into this weekend from Sam Smith and Ben Short. This is round 3, and on pole position is Will Blackwell Chambers. Alongside him on the front row of the grid is Stuart Simmons. Row 2, James Rogers and Jack Sycamore. But the red light's already on. They go out and the race gets underway. And a good start from row 3 there by that dark green car. That's Ben Short. He tries to go second, but is rebuffed by James Rogers on the approach to Paddock Hill Bend. We're on board with Paul Monteith now, who started on row 7 of this packed 34 car grid. It looks like it's Rogers in the silver car that's got into the lead, ahead of Will Blackwell Chambers, already up towards Druids for the first time then in this race that's scheduled to run for 15 minutes plus 1 lap. On board now with Harry Dean, who started on the 8th row of the grid in car number 7. Looks like he's losing a place there to number 131, that's Nigel Garrett, although he fights back at Graham Hill Bend. So leading is Rogers, second is Blackwell Chambers, third is Sycamore. Bit of a gap back to Stuart Simmons, who started on the front row. He's dropped back to 4th place. And there is that Club 100 car. Right behind him is Ben Short in that dark green car, not his regular mount. That was quite badly damaged in a shunt at Alton Park in round 2. So he's got this car out for this weekend. Let's see if it handles as he would like. Meanwhile, Blackwell Chambers there was rebuffing the attempts of Jack Sycamore to try and find a way through. But also Blackwell Chambers has gone through to the lead at the expense of James Rogers there down into paddock. So it's now Blackwell Chambers that has the lead of the race as they climb the hill. It looks like Sycamore trying to go second as well and get past his AB Motorsport teammate. He's done it. So Sycamore goes through into 2nd position now. Back on board with Paul Monteith. He's behind that 131 car of Nigel Garrett now. There he is, looking at him from this low angle underneath the front bumper of Monteith's MX5 now as they head along the Cooper Straight. That's 47, Stephen Craggs. Ahead of him, or behind him I should say, is number 81, Sebastian Fisher. Dean there, losing out to Garrett as they go now through Clearways and Clark Curve and onto the Bradman Straight to start another lap. And look how Garrett appears to be pulling away there from Harry Dean, the 24-year-old tyre fitter from Horncastle, seemingly unable to do anything about it. Well, Sycamore there was going for the lead from Blackwell Chambers. Blackwell Chambers has rebuffed him. And still in 3rd place is Rogers. Scott Leach there just kicking up some gravel from about 10th position. He's just ahead of the number 81 car of Sebastian Fisher, I think, as they make their way now through Druids Corner. It's Garrett just behind him, so that's I think for 10th, 11th and 12th positions. On board with the blue car in 13th place, and that's Harry Dean as Garrett goes through to 11th place now at the expense of Sebastian Fisher. So Scott Leach, the man from Warwickshire, will be his next target. I think Harry Dean there saying to Fisher, let's work together to stay with them. Well, it's Sycamore now leading, but Blackwell Chambers fighting back on the run up towards Druids. He's got the inside line. Can he go through there? Wing mirror to wing mirror. But the blue car, the BS Motorsport prepared car, goes through to take the lead, and Sycamore loses out because he went wide there. He was edged wide, and that's allowed Rogers to get back through into 2nd place. Simmons now, having broken away from the group behind, he's with them in 4th place, and looking back it's now Sam Smith in 5th and Adam Bessel in 6th place. Sam Smith in that pink car you can see in the background has come across to the MX5 Cup from another championship last season where he was a regular front runner. So strengthening the ranks in this particular championship. First 4 then, pretty much together as they go over the line to start another lap. And it's Rogers that now ventures down the inside line into Paddock Hill Bend, and he takes the lead of the race away from Will Blackwell Chambers. He runs out wide over the red and white painted curb, but that's okay, but it's wheels beyond that start to cause a problem. Leach has fallen further back, you can see, in that group. Great sight these cars make as they drop down through Paddock Hill Bend and then climb back up towards Druids. You can see that it's starting to get a bit wet and slippery out there now as well, so conditions changing, becoming more demanding for the drivers. Certainly number 77 Grant Williamson has found that up at Druids. He's gone slipping off and rejoins the circuit now, but not before losing quite a few places. Rogers then under pressure from his teammate and from Will Blackwell Chambers as well as they drop down through Paddock once more. They're almost going to go 2 or 3 abreast, I think, as they climb up towards the hairpin, but Rogers has got a good car length advantage as they turn now through Druids, dropping down towards Graham Hill Bend once more. Extremely competitive racing as we've come to expect in the 5 Club Racing MX5 Cup. We saw number 7 Harry Dean going through shot there as well. He seems to have made some progress from his starting position, so we'll be pleased about that. First 4 cars together. In the background it looks like it's Bessel that's now 5th, and there's one off in the background there. Who was that? We'll have a look in a moment. But meanwhile the 3 are nose to tail for the lead of the race. Blackwell Chambers tries a different line to that of Jack Sycamore, but it doesn't really gain him anything. Tucks back in behind the white car, but they're heading towards that yellow flag zone now at Paddock Hill Bend, so I think Sycamore will probably have to back out of the move that he was about to make. Yes, he does, because there's no overtaking under yellow flags, of course. Who is that car that's off? It looks like it's the number 9 car of Ian Tomlinson, the driver from Blackpool, beached there in the gravel trap. Racing goes on though, and it's Simmons now that's up to P3 ahead of Blackwell Chambers, but no, the red flags are out. Unsurprisingly, with that car so close to the edge of the track, the race being stopped. Here are the results then, declared after 10 laps, and it was James Rogers that was ahead then, but only by 9/100ths of a second. Sycamore was 2nd and Blackwell Chambers 3rd. Those 2 also shared the fastest lap and a lap record at 57.44 seconds. So further back it was Simmons, Bessel and Short completing the top 6. Further back still, 11th was Stephen Cragg, Sebastian Fisher ahead of Harry Dean, Paul Monteith and Nigel Garrett, rounding out the top 15 after a very competitive 3rd round of the 5 Club Racing MX5 Cup.
Here we go, James Rogers, a win to start the day. That was a really good race to watch. How was it from your point of view?
Yeah, pretty eventful, to be honest. I was just saying, I haven't actually been out in the car for 6 months, and I didn't do the first event at Alton, so yesterday in practice was pretty rusty, but learned pretty quickly, and qualifying was all right. Then had a bit of an opportunity early on to get into the lead, and then sort of made my Mazda the widest MX5 in history, I think. So.
In the first 2 rounds of the Demons Week's Yokohama Classic Stock Cars Championship at Donington, the wins were shared between reigning champion Matt Rosier and multiple title winner Lee Scott. Andrew Thorpe was the 3rd different winner here yesterday. He lines up 2nd here behind Rosier as the lights go out, the better start being made by the blue Peugeot 205 of the reigning champion then, Matt Rosier. And it's Lee Scott there in 3rd position. He gets a little bit of a tag there by Martin Kayser. Scott spins round and collects Kayser, who goes rolling off into the gravel trap. And Scott's in there as well. So the 2 drivers that had strong finishes yesterday look to be out of the race. But look at this for a start from number 40, Paul Thorpe in Richard Herbert's Fiesta XR2. Paul enjoying being back behind the wheel and has made a good start to this race up from row 8. There's Kayser, who finished 3rd yesterday. Yep, getting out of his car. His race is over. He's a long way off there. And a long way off the lead is the 3rd place man Stuart Place, because that incident has caused a big gap to open up between the first 2 and the rest of the field. It's Rosier leading then, Thorpe in 2nd place. These were the top 2 in last year's championship as well, so they're the 4 men really in Classic Stock Hatch. Got a 25 car field here this weekend. Already we've lost a couple of them though during the course of this race. There's the 3rd place man, Stuart Place. He was in the wars at Donington Park, but he bounced back with a top 6 finish here yesterday and could make a podium here this weekend. Now back with Paul Thorpe then. He's behind, that looks like the number 57 car of Martin Foundry, another XR2, as they make their way down towards Graham Bento. Those are the 2 leaders then. In 3rd place is Stuart Place. In 4th place it looks like the number 28 car of Daniel Fillingham. He's a rookie. And in 5th place Matthew Stubbington. Then the 6th and 7th, that's where we find Foundry and Thorpe. Just there's a lot of cars queuing up behind them as well. So yes, there's Thorpe. Looks like behind him he's got the number 7 car, which is Derek Rosier. That's Daz in his Peugeot 205. And then you've got some of the other Fiestas getting involved as well. It looks like Andy Philpotts is involved in that. He's returned to racing in a newly built car for this season after destroying the old one at Donington in 2014. Great racing going on. There's Ted Cooper in the Nova. White car for him this year. Previously campaigned one in a blue hue. Here's Paul Thorpe then. This is the bottom straight, the Cooper straight, towards Surtees. He's behind Foundry, only a couple of car lengths though. Looking the curb there at McLaren, through Clearways and on towards Clark Curve. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cars in this little group here. That's the number 50 car of Ben Leach, the 32-year-old managing director from Wimbledon in his 2nd season of racing. Just noticed that at that particular part of the circuit, bottom of the dip of Paddock Hill Bend, there's some smoke that emits from Andrew Thorpe's car. I wonder if that's a problem. There's Thorpe then, and that is Phil Potts in the number 11 car, the driver from Basildon. He works for the Ford Motor Company, so it's fitting that he races an XR2i. Sense that the 3rd position man, Stuart Place, is closing in on the top 2 now. Fillingham having a bit of a lonely race there in 4th place. This is an ex-Derek Rosier car for the man. That's his local circuit. He's from just down the road in Gillingham. Different lines being taken by different drivers through Clearways there. Paul Thorpe under a lot of pressure now from Ted Cooper, who's got past Derek Rosier, and now Cooper trying to get alongside Paul Thorpe here. I think Rosier might be trying to make it 3 abreast almost as they head along the straight, but it looks like the Nova has gone through. Paul Thorpe will try and come back on the brakes. Oh, it's good on the brakes, that car, but it's still not quite enough to stop Cooper going through. Climbing the hill now towards the right-hander at Druids. And I almost thought there was someone else going to come on the inside of Paul Thorpe there, but it wasn't to be. Oh, Phil Potts gets a bit wide there as he challenges Martin Foundry. Matt Rosier in the lead though is easing away now from Andrew Thorpe in 2nd position. Lee Scott's managed to carry on, hasn't he? I hadn't noticed that, but he'd got out of the gravel trap and continued in the race, and a problem there for one of the 205s, and it is the number 42 car of Andy Harvison. His Peugeot 205 spins around. Unfortunately, he manages to keep going. Last lap of the race then, and it is Rosier that still continues to lead, as he has all the way through this race really, from Andrew Thorpe in 2nd position, making his way through Clearways for the final time behind that slower car, and onto the Brabham Straight to be greeted by the checkered flag at the end of 14 laps, and it's a 2nd win of the season for Matt Rosier, the first to do the double this season. And here are the full results then. Rosier it was that won by 1.68 seconds from Andrew Thorpe, who was only 17/100ths clear of Stuart Place, who also got the fastest lap on a 58.76. Daniel Fillingham gets his best result yet in 4th. Matthew Stubbington and Edward Cooper complete the top 6. Further back down the order, Ben Leach 11th, Scott Woodhead will be pleased with 12th place ahead of Ryan Clark, Chris Martin and Paul Rosier, a clutch of Peugeot 205s there that round out the top 15.
A good little fight out in front there, but it looked like he had it controlled.
I hope so anyway. Andy kept me honest, he was pushing hard the whole race. Last couple of laps he dropped off a bit. I think he had tyres overheating, so made it easy in the long run.
Track conditions okay today?
A lot better than yesterday. We had hail yesterday, so that made it interesting. Nearly went straight on at paddock. Had visions of myself upside down in the gravel.
This year though, so far it's started pretty well, some good results.
I've had 2 wins and 2 seconds from 4 races, so I'm delighted so far.
So you're hoping to continue the season like that?
God willing.
Ed Pither arrived at Brands Hatch leading the championship, but he'd handed the PRS 1B over to David Bartholomew for the Brands Hatch rounds. Yesterday's race had 2 red flags, so it was declared at just 3 laps, and it was Robin Gearing that was ahead from Bill Cowley and Bartholomew at that point in time. Red lights go out and we're underway. A great start by Bill Cowley from the second row of the grid there, trying to dive around the outside of Bartholomew there, and he's done that. Can he get around the outside of poleman Gearing in the Derby as well? Well, yes he can. Fantastic start from Cowley in that car, now in its 6th decade of racing. Cowley Mark IV, designed and built by his granddad all those years ago. Still a very potent weapon indeed, as we see the number 37 car of Tony Brazier, the BFS, completing the field. But it's Cowley then that leads. Gearing is second, Bartholomew in 3rd place. In 4th position is the number 5 car of Mark Glover, who was a non-starter yesterday, so good that he is back out there. It looks like Chris Goff is in 6th position as well. But Cowley classified second yesterday in a race that lasted less than 3 minutes when the results were declared. That's the number 9 car you can see going through. That's Ian Barley, one of several Race Kits Falcons that we now have on the grid here. And there's 3 cars abreast in the mid-pack there. That was including Barley, I think, and Chris Goff. And it's Barley that's made his way through into quite a strong position for the moment at least. Rounding Druids then and heading down the hill towards Graham Hill Bend. Lead though still being held by Bill Cowley from Gearing and Bartholomew, last year's champion of course in that car, winning all of those races. I think it was 10 wins during the course of the season, but it's a car that he's sharing this year with Ed Pither and Richard Rothery, the 2 men who designed and built the car. Bartholomew raced with him in low cost several years ago and came into the championship 18 months or so ago. Now here comes Gearing. He's used the toe there, he's sized Cowley up for a move for the lead, and he's done it around the outside at Paddock Hill Bend. So Gearing takes the lead of the race in this Derby that he's got going so well now. So lots of tweaks and preparation to it. It's a car that's getting quicker all the time, and with these cars all powered by the Fiat engine. Oh, now that's problems for number 9 Ian Barley, who was going quite well. He's going quite slowly now, and I think he's about to be lapped then by our race leaders. It's Bartholomew that's made his way up to 2nd place as well. Cowley down to 3rd, but still pushing on in that car. It has fully enclosed in the past. Gearing then coming up to the line, is getting into the traffic now, which is a feature of racing in the 750 Formula Championship that was very much aimed at amateur engineers and designers and builders to do their thing within the regulations. It really epitomises what the 750 Motor Club is all about. Bartholomew chasing after him, and the gap tends to yo-yo a little bit in the traffic. Gearing there, turning his way through Graham Hill Bend. Oh, and problems for Bartholomew. His wheel is hanging out by a couple of feet. His hand is in the air. He's realised it's a problem. He's going to pull onto the grass, I think. But that looks like a drive shaft issue for David Bartholomew, who's out of the race. You see the number 35 car going through there, that's Tony Mattia in another of the Race Kits Falcons. So gearing now, well out front. There's Peter Bove putting a lap on the number 40 car, which is Linful Owen. Here's Darby. But Bove there being pushed hard by Chris Goff in the CGR2 Evo. There's Cowley, he's lapped Brazier in the BFS. There's the leaders now on their last lap. You can see there number 66 Dave Robson, a champion not so many years ago, a lap down now. That shows how things move on in the 750 Formula. It's the number 44 car about to go another lap down as well. That's Andrew Lake. There's the checkered flag, awaits Robin Gearing then for his second win of the weekend, his second win of the season as well, in the Premier Choice Group 750 Formula Championship. Well, he also got the fastest lap as well, a 52.38. Bill Cowley was second, Mark Glover up to third with Bartholomew's demise. Then Peter Bove, Chris Goff and Bob Simpson rounded out the top six. The best of the Class B drivers was Oliver Collett in his Race Kits Falcon in 9th position overall. While Gearing got the fastest lap, Collett got the fastest lap in Class B as well.